Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at Incredible Hulk 366. Thanks for joining me. My name is Daryl. I'm the host of Read Your Comics, and I'm continuing my look at the Peter David Hulk run, and I am well into it with issue 366. This is the last issue that Jeff Purves will do. The Jeff Purves era comes to a close with the third part of the Countdown storyline. I think that's an odd place for him to jump off, but who knows? I guess he got a good job or something, and he would leave comics for good after this. Before I jump into it, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the viewer support. All your likes, comments, and shares are appreciated. If you're new to the channel or just haven't done so already, please hit subscribe so you never miss another video. While you're at it, go ahead and hit like so you don't forget when the video is over. And if you've missed any of the issues from this Peter David run, check out my playlist I've got on it. But let's look at the Walt Simonson cover here. As each issue has progressed, the Hulk has gotten a little smaller. You know, in the first part, he's punching the Abomination. The second part, he's getting hit by the Thing, and he was a little smaller. And this time, he's practically Bruce Banner getting smacked around here by the Leader. And this is the return of the Leader. We haven't seen the Leader since the last McFarlane issue of Ground Zero. So we're getting some things kind of coming back around from the beginning of the run at this point. Walt Simonson definitely keeping a theme with these covers too to kind of lock them together, which is a nice touch. So let's jump on in. One thing I'm going to note too is the printing has gotten a little better, I guess. I feel like the paper has changed. I noticed it last issue, but this issue feels the same. It's a little thicker than what the newsprint has been, and the colors just seem to soak up a little bit more in it. I don't know if Marvel had like changed printers. It'd be interesting to grab some other books that came out around these same couple of months and see if the quality of those books changed as well or what. I don't know. Just something that I noticed that when I opened this up to read it. Let's notice our countdown is already down to 4 hours left. We're in part 3 of a 4-part story, and the Hulk has been poisoned. From the moment he was poisoned, we got this ticker. It started at like roughly 20 hours, I believe, and we're already down to 4 hours left. Picking up with Doc Samson, and last issue I was questioning, why did Doc Samson get to be at this nuclear facility asking questions of the staff and stuff? Who gave him that authority? Well, apparently he is working with the military, and we have a new general here, and they're having a disagreement about the Hulk, and that the Hulk is gray and smart versus green and dumb. So even though the Hulk in our real world time has been gray now for about 3.5 to almost 4 years, in the Marvel Universe world, he's not been exposed enough to the media for them to know that he had turned gray. I mean, some of the other heroes he had encountered knew it, but a lot of them still didn't know it. The Abomination didn't know it in the last issue, for instance. So a truck is being thrown in, or is thrown into the Yucca Flats research facility here, a nuclear facility. Doc Samson shows off some strength by catching it, and they find the trajectory and everything and head on out to go, or they assume it's the Hulk, and they head on out to go see where he was. I love this countdown page title that we have going on here with the Hulk's head and this frame. Works pretty well throughout the whole storyline. Mary Severin's still doing the inks on this, and again, I don't know if it's like the printer or what this time, but everything just feels like a little heavier. Like the blacks are a little deeper, and colors are just more saturated in general. So the Hulk is pretty much terrorizing these military guys because he's dying, he's been poisoned, and he wants to go find the Abomination that he fought in the first part of this storyline and melted. So he's stopping these military guys to ask them where they are. And he says he's going to keep this sergeant with him, or lieutenant with him, kind of as a hostage to go find the Abomination. So here we see the character that we saw in the first part talking to Phil Stearns. And he says that he is Madman. He comes out of the room that Phil Stearns was in, and this soldier who was guarding the room is like, well, who are you? He's like, I'm Madman. And he obviously has some strength to not just smash him against the wall, but to make his helmet break. So if that did that to his helmet, I guess his skull is crushed in. And then we get this is the leader. It's not really a secret since he's on the cover. He was doing this in the countdown storyline in the build up. He was always watching on these monitors, right? I mean, we could see his head right there. And he's saying it's time to come on out. And you think that like he's behind all this in the moment. The Abomination is melted, and he it looks like his eye is hanging out of his head right there. Even he's not quite as melted as we saw at the end of the last issue, though. So I mean, we can kind of compare what the last we saw Abomination. He had been doused in toxic waste. It was melting so much, like his bones were coming out of his shoulders there. Don't really see it there. Maybe he's just healed up. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say that his healing factor, his gamma radiated healing factor, has kind of done a little bit of work on him. But man, look how melted he is right there. He looks like Swamp Thing or something. He's so melted, and his eyes hanging out of his head. Pretty similar to right there, I suppose. But he looked a lot more melted. Anyway, so the Hulk goes on, and of course, the Abomination is being guarded by like a tank and stuff. So we're gonna get some pretty good action here of the Hulk getting shot by a tank. The Hulk points out he's like he feels weak. It's a weakened Hulk because he keeps having a heart attack every few minutes. And even if he doesn't react to it every time, they're getting stronger and stronger each time. I like this image of the Hulk. Well, first he dodges a shell coming out and pushes on it to make it start going backwards. I guess the tank is actually hauling Abomination. No, he's in this truck right here. And there's a tank between them. There's a Jeep leading and then the truck with the Abomination, tank following. So he pulled the Abomination got pulled over to the side right there. But I guess the Hulk pushed the tank into the truck and knocked him out. And he points out that he's in these kinetic manacles that the Hulk was in. The Hulk has been in those before. In fact, the issue where he returns to gray, which predated Peter David by about 6 months, he is wearing these kinetic manacles. And he's kind of teasing Abomination about it. But the Hulk wants to know who hired him to go to Yucca Flats. And of course, the Abomination's like, get stuffed, Hulk. I'll kill you for doing this to me. Yeah, I've heard it all. I'll say this once. I start with breaking fingers, then it gets interesting. So who hired you to attack the plant? I'm telling you, Zip, do your worst. Okay. Huh? And he's, crack. No, wait, don't. And he looks pretty melted right there, too. But you love this crack, so you're like, oh man, the Hulk's breaking fingers. But we get our Peter David humor. Boy, all I have to do is crack a knuckle, and you're starting to scream already. So you think he's going to start getting answers right here when some military guys show up, and as the Hulk decides he's going to go take care of them, all of a sudden he gets zapped. What the heck? Notice our timer now is down to just over 3 hours. And enter Sam Stearns, the leader, who's not wearing exactly, he's kind of lounging. He's got his like lounge clothes on right here. Look at that head compared to what McFarlane did. I can't say that Purves makes that look any more intimidating. And maybe this is why I always refer to it as the popcorn head, because here the Hulk calls him, you jiffy pop-headed freak. And I guess that stuck with me in my head. Weird. I guess this is just, I was thinking this is a weird panel break. But I guess this is like a line in his teleportation thing or something. I don't know. That's a weird line going up for some reason. And it was in this. So as he starts to attack him, the leader uses his mind powers to throw the Hulk back. And he mentions how you can't reason with these muscle characters. The Hulk finds himself in some like town, a deserted town. And we got the return of Rock. And again, another character we haven't seen since the Ground Zero finale. Remember, he can shape this rock and turn it into anything. Looks like a potato right here. A potato with like the little roots that come out of the eyes. That's all that is right there. So he's like coming down with some spikes. And I guess, I don't know if he purposely misses the Hulk here or the Hulk is able to dodge. It's not super clear. I would assume that the Hulk just dodged because it looks like he's about to just jump up and stab him. And he was able to stab the Hulk. I mean, he punctured the Hulk at one point in the previous storyline and left a big gaping hole in him for a minute. Of course, the Hulk recovered because he heals so fast. Then Redeemer shows up. Now, Redeemer died in that storyline. So, and the Hulk even noticed that. Said he's supposed to be dead. But there he is, shooting at the Hulk, and he's completely obscured right here. And he, his thing was like he had like a bunch of guns and stuff. Does a thunderclap to get away from them, and then he runs off. I like this panel here with the shading of him like hiding. Hulk's having to go hide. Another mean face. But he figures he could topple these buildings on the two of them and kind of get away. He wants to get back to the leader because he really wants answers. And as he's starting to take off, here comes Rock back out. So he's like, I'm out of here, wherever here is. And he gets stopped by this like energy bubble sphere catching him. And then we meet two new characters, Hotshot and Jailbait. And if we do a callback to that last part of Ground Zero again, we'll figure out who these characters are pretty quickly. More build up in the town with the girl wanting to run away with her boyfriend. The mom of the girl meets the encyclopedia salesman who just slams the door in his face. I guess it hits him like literally in his face because he's bleeding right there. And then we're going to wrap up with the leader. The leader won. This story, the leader had this plan to destroy the Hulk, and he won. And that's how this storyline ends, this Ground Zero story. Here's the other survivors, and he drives off with them, and he says, my new race is born, my greatest enemy is gone, my power base grows every day. All I need now is time. But now they're all gamma irradiated, and they have some powers, and the Hulk is able to break out of the little dome, and she thought was pretty easy to get him in at first, but he's still able to break out. And Hotshot, I guess he just shoots these kind of like energy blast himself. It's not really showing him do it. Well, he's just doing it with his fingers right there. And I don't know. It's like he's throwing almost like laser balls, fireballs. And then we get another like She-Hulkish figure come out who's called Ogress. And she starts getting the wallop on the Hulk too. I mean, so last issue he got beat up by Sharon Ventura, the She-Thing, and now he's getting beat up by the Ogress, gamma irradiated. It's not She-Hulk, but a She-Hulk-like character. Finally, the leader shows back up and says, nope, leave him alone. If I wanted him dead, he'd be dead. He says that was just a little test for your followers. And the Hotshot character says, we're not your followers. We're the Riot Squad. Sigh, whatever. The point is, Hulk, the more you exert yourself, the faster the poison that flows through you will weaken you. You will need your strength if you are to defeat he who poisoned you. Now, Hulk, shall we discuss matters of life and death? The leader doesn't really give him all the answers here, but he explains that like the place they're in is a home of their own that he has created. And the Hulk decides he's going to jump out, but as he jumps, he like hits something. Bam. The sky is fake. You're quick. But the leader does say he knows who poisoned him, and it's this character Madman. He calls himself Madman. So the Hulk asks, well, why do you want him dead? And the leader says, because he frightens me. And in here, too, he mentions how he restored the mind of the Abomination, which makes sense. I think when I did that issue, I said that he hadn't fought the Grey Hulk, but there is an annual where the Grey Hulk fights the Abomination, but it was Tyrannus's mind in the Abomination at the time. So totally off panel. They just did away with that and brought the Abomination back as normal. What happened to Tyrannus? And I don't really know that I've seen Tyrannus around since then. Maybe in the early 2000s or late 90s, whatever it was, when John Byrne came back on the Hulk. I feel like maybe he did a Tyrannus story, but I don't think Peter David really ever deals with Tyrannus now that I'm thinking about it. I could be wrong. Maybe I just don't remember it. Anyway, the leader says that he fixed it. Look at the leader's head. This is a Jeff Purves inconsistency right here. Now the leader's head is quite smaller than it was. He almost looks like he does in that Cat movie. Anyway, and the Hulk, of course, doesn't really trust the leader. He's like, why aren't you wanting to kill this madman yourself? And he just says, I have my reasons. And to convince the Hulk, he shows him he's monitoring Betty. The Hulk, of course, feels like this is some sort of trick, but the leader assures him, basically pulls a Darth Vader, search your feelings, you know this to be true, and convinces that it's the Hulk's choice. He can listen to the leader to take on Madman and learn where Betty is, or he can die, and he has the options of doing so. So Jeff Purves signs off on this issue. His era in the Hulk is done. His era of comics is done. And we get a brand new artist next month, Dale Keown. So that's it for this one. I'll see you next week. Until then, read your comics. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my breakdown of this issue, you can support the channel by hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps other comic fans find the channel. You can also visit readyourcomics.com for cool merch, like this. Read Your Comics isn't just a brand, it's a mantra. And when you wear a Read Your Comics shirt, you are helping spread the word. For more classic comics conversation, be sure to follow me on Instagram at read.your.comics. And if you're still here, why not watch one of my older videos? Here or here.